Welcome. Thanks for joining me today. Okay, lead with impact. Transform your management style with everything DISC. And as we indicated in the information that went out, we're talking about management today and using everything DISC to increase management effectiveness. And there are two things we can offer you to help you do that. And number one, which I think some of you probably already have, is the Everything DISC Management Profile Facilitator Kit. All right, and that's been around for a long time. It had an upgrade a few years ago, so it's still very current, new videos, etc., which is great. But recently, Wiley have launched Worksmart, and Worksmart is a new product that consists of 5 modules to help managers be more effective in getting the best results out of their teams. And so a big part of why I wanted to do this was to help you see how both the management profile kit and Worksmart can actually work together to create a very powerful set of materials to use with your managers, okay, or your client managers. All right, so I'm going to dive into, first of all, the agenda, okay? The first few bullet points here relate to what's in the Everything DISC Management Kit. Management principles, management priorities, management skills are all part of the Everything DISC Management Profile Facilitator Kit and the materials there. So we're going to walk you through that. So for those of you not clear, don't have the kit, can see what's in it and what the benefits are. And then we're going to transition to management on Catalyst, because the management profile is on the Catalyst platform as well. So we're going to see how that actually you can actually facilitate debriefs of the management profile on Catalyst itself. And then we're going to look at where does Worksmart fit in? The management facilitator kit versus Worksmart, what are the differences? And then we're going to finish off by focusing in on Worksmart and on Catalyst and giving you a good understanding of what that's about. Okay. All right. So management principles, these are the basic principles that are mentioned in the actual profile. And they are, number one, your DISC style has a strong influence on how you approach management. Other factors also obviously can play a role, like your position relative to the people you're managing, etc., and what level of the organization you're in, and so on. But obviously, a person's DISC style is a result of what their instinctive needs are. People behave in the way they do that satisfies their needs. And so people with different DISC styles are going to tend to approach management differently. Because the way you behave satisfies your needs, all right? And so obviously it's important to understand what your own DISC style is and how that influences the way you approach management, okay? People with all styles can be effective managers. No style is better than any other. And that's a key thing, because many times over the years, I've heard people say, oh, you've got to be this particular style to be a manager. That's rubbish, all right? Actually, being an effective manager is about being able to adapt to different people and different circumstances, all right? And so any style who has the ability to adapt can therefore be an effective manager, all right? And then no matter what your style is, you will need to adapt to the styles of the people you manage. And that's one of the key things about the management profile kit and the Worksmart modules. Is it actually gives managers the skills they need to learn to adapt and how to adapt to the different styles of the people that they manage. Okay, so let's dive into the management profiles. And first of all, look at the management priorities. And you'll see on the DISC map there, we've got a C style person, all right? And you'll see that the priorities around the outside, as you know, are bolded for the particular style, okay? And so this particular C-style person tends to focus on using these priorities to manage people, all right? So let's dig in a little bit further and how we would, this is getting people to be aware of how their own management priorities affect the way they manage people, all right? And so ensuring objectivity, this person's given this a big tick, all right? Then in the second paragraph, achieving reliability, there's one point there that they put a cross on, all right? But mostly ticks, and then there's a question mark down the bottom. And this is something we typically do anytime we're debriefing people on a DISC profile, is to personalize it, to go through and tick the things that you agree with, put a cross on things you don't agree with, and then put a question mark on things you're not sure about that maybe you could check with other people and say, is this how you see me? Okay. And then the management preferences, all right. If you remember in the workplace profile, we had motivators and stressors, okay? And in the management profile, we have similarly motivators and stressors, what motivates you. But in this case, is what do you enjoy about managing? So these things will probably motivate you to be a manager, all right? And as you can see, the C-style person here, it's mostly about tasks, all right? Creating efficient systems or procedures, catching errors or flaws in design, and so on. But also, typically, the stressors, in this case, would be what drains your energy as a manager, okay? And so this is obviously useful for a manager to understand that I like these things, but I don't particularly like these things. They drain my energy. So dealing with conflict, meeting new people, being forceful or insistent. So the people things tend to come through here for this C-style manager, don't they? All right, as the things that might drain their energy. So obviously, if I'm going to be an effective manager and I'm a C-style, being aware of these things would be very important for me to learn when I need to adapt, okay? Now, in the management profile, there are 4 particular skills that the profile and therefore the program in the facilitator kit focus on. 3 of those are downward facing skills. And then 1 is upward facing on working with my manager. Okay, I'm going to focus a bit more on the downward facing skills. And these are one-on-one skills. And that's the significant difference between the management profile and the work of leaders profile. I'm not going to get into that one, but the management profile focuses on skills I need to sit down and have a really good conversation with one other person. So it's for managers to deal more effectively with their direct reports, all right? And as we'll see when we get into it, how do I adapt that depending on the style of the person I'm having the conversation with, okay? The first of the downward facing skills, if I can call it that, is directing and delegating, all right? And for each of these, there's a section in the profile and there's a module in the facilitator kit that typically would take at least an hour for the facilitator to take a group of managers through to learn how to be more effective in directing and delegating to their direct reports, all right? And so each of these 3 skills starts with how do you naturally tend to go about directing and delegating? So again, here the person C-style comes in, all right? And it's going to look at how they tend to direct and delegate through the lens of their priorities, all right? You prioritize objectivity. You emphasize the importance of reliable results, and you challenge people to meet your high expectations, all right? And then it looks at the strengths and challenges of this particular person, all right? Because they're a C-style, their strengths would relate to their C-style strengths. And the challenges would be things that would be stretching them to operate outside of their C-style, okay? So all of this information is in the profile, and it's focusing on understanding how your natural style tends to affect the way you direct and delegate before we start looking at adapting, all right? The facilitator kit contains a lot of videos, the management facilitator kit, all right? So in the directing and delegating section, there are 8 videos, 4 wrong way videos showing you the wrong way to direct and delegate to a particular style. And then there's a right way video to show how the manager can adapt. And I'm just going to share these with you. There's a lot of videos, but I've only got a couple to share with you that I think it really gives you a good understanding of the value of these videos in the facilitator kit. Here we go.
Hey, Stephanie. So, hey, Tom, what have you got on the Scopes project?
I don't have anything. Was I supposed to have something?
You knew this was coming up, right?
Um, yeah, I didn't think you had an okay yet.
Okay, I guess we'll just have to make up time. So what are you working on right now?
Some proposals for Ian.
Okay, let's set those aside. This needs to be the priority now.
Okay, does Ian know that?
I don't know, but let's cut the old template. It's clunky.
Okay, what do you want me to use instead?
I don't know, just streamline the thing.
Streamline? Well, do you have an example or something?
I don't know, just cut the unnecessary parts. Okay, starting tonight, I'm gonna be gone until Wednesday, so I'll be able to look at it when I get back, but it basically has to be done.
Wait, this has to be done by Wednesday?
Well, Tuesday because we need to send it out on Thursday.
That's less than a week. And what if I have questions or something?
Just get to the point. Cut out the unnecessary numbers, put them in the appendix, just clean it up. You won't have a problem with it.
Well, okay.
Great, so I'm actually late for a meeting, but I want you to look over this summary and take another pass at it. It's fine, but the middle part is a little bit weak, so I'd like you to redo sections 2 and 3.
Okay, are there comments on it, or?
Yeah, here and there, but just reread it, rewrite it. I think it'll be fine.
And when do you need this by?
When I get back, I'll take a look at both of them.
Okay.
Okay. So what did Natalie do that was ineffective? Tom is this S-style, right? And if you've got the workplace kit, you'll know Tom pretty well because he's the S-style example in that. She came in pretty much with a strong D style, didn't she? All right. And as you can see, Tom was getting very flustered. She was telling him to stop what he was doing and work on something else. And as you can imagine, Tom would be feeling very stressed. He looked like he was very stressed. So in other words, answering the question, what did you observe about Tom? So in the facilitation of this, you would be showing this video and getting participants, managers you were putting through this profile to identify what Natalie did that was ineffective. And so how would you do something differently? And then after that discussion, you would go in and show the right way video. So I'm going to show that to you as well. Again, it's only a minute or so. And here's Natalie having been to a session to learn how to use the management profile to be a more effective manager. And I think it worked. Let's see.
All right, so let's talk about the Scopes project. I'm going to be out of town for a week starting on Friday, so I just wanted to let you know that it was coming up.
Yeah, great. Have you gotten an okay yet?
Not yet, but I just wanted to touch base with you about it before I leave in case there are any problems or if you have any questions.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I feel like the template that we're using right now is a little bit outdated, so maybe we could try looking at something a little more modern and streamlined and clean.
Yeah, cool. Do you have a template that I can work from or some kind of example?
Yeah, so I actually took a look at one of your old drafts and I made some notes about some things that you could potentially work on and also sketched up some different options.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, I can totally see what you're going for here. Do I have room to build on these ideas?
Absolutely. And if there's anything that doesn't make sense to you or you don't understand my notes, just feel free to let me know.
Sure, great.
And do you think it's doable to wrap this up by the 17th?
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, a very different approach, right? And I think what I really like about the videos, and I really like all of these videos, and especially with the new kit, that they've actually improved them on the original set, which were actually pretty good as well, is it actually shows managers how they can adapt, that it is possible. All right. So, and typically when I show this to a group of managers, the wrong way videos, they can actually see themselves in the video, say, oh my God, I do that. All right. And then when you show the right way video, it's like, yeah, I think I could do that. And so it's giving them an example. And obviously then in the program, they're going to learn how to adapt to deal with a particular colleague. Well, that's where we go in a moment, is they're going to identify a particular direct report where they're going to learn, apply, or come up with an action plan on how to be more effective in directing and delegating a specific project to that particular person. And so in the profile, you'll see there's a page for each of the 4 styles. How do you direct and delegate, and how do you adapt to each of the styles? And then the managers are going to identify a particular employee and use the people reading process to identify what they think that person's style is. Now, obviously, if that person has already done a profile, then you would know what their style is. So you would skip the people reading process and go straight into the action plan. So in the facilitation materials, in the facilitator kit, there's a PDF file that you can give to each person and get them to come up with a particular action plan for that particular person and what it is they want to work on, that person to work on to be more effective. Okay, and so each of the four modules follows a similar track. Let's go to motivation. All right, and motivation starts with the environment you create. How do you naturally go about motivating people? Right. Well, the C-style person goes about motivating people because through their strong focus on objectivity, establishing reliable professional atmosphere, your challenging nature may encourage people to be more analytical, etc. Okay, but as you can imagine, that's not going to necessarily motivate everybody. Okay, so we need to look at what's your focus on others. The C-style person, how does your behavioral style and your priorities affect the way people respond to you, the way they perceive you? And how might your style be demotivating? That's a very important question. All right. I'm an SI style. All right. And I tend to be very people oriented. So, as you can imagine, my way of motivating people isn't necessarily going to work, or most likely isn't going to work with someone who's a D or a C style, or particularly a DCCD style. Okay. So, understanding how I could demotivate people just by being myself is a very important question. Okay. And then in the facilitator, in the profile, you have, again, 4 pages on motivation, 1 for each of the 4 styles. And you could come up with an action plan. And again, go through the process. You might choose a different employee and come up with an action plan for motivating that employee. Okay. So let's look at the third skill that managers can use with direct reports. All right. And it's how do you develop their talent? Okay. It starts with, what is your natural approach to developing talent? And again, it takes into account what your priorities are, what your behavioral style is, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of your natural approach. When might it work? When might it not work? Okay. And so then we would go into coming up with an action plan for a particular direct report that I want to develop their talent. And I need to be specific here. It's really important if you're working with a group of managers, we say identify a direct report and what specifically do you see them being able to do better? What's the talent you want to develop in that person? And then develop your action plan around that particular thing. And so you've got to have an actual something to focus on when you sit down to have the conversation, so that when they're using the action plan, they're preparing a plan for a meeting they're going to have with that direct report to help them increase their effectiveness in a particular talent. Okay. Lastly, managing up. And this is, again, working with and influencing your manager. Manager is your link to the organization and its resources. All right. So how does your manager see you? All right. So this is your natural way of operating. So this is likely how your manager is going to see you. And again, it focuses on the 3 main priorities of the C style. All right. So if I want to get buy-in from my manager, what I say and how I say it is going to have a big impact on whether I'll get their buy-in. And different managers obviously are influenced by different approaches. And this is where obviously we can start to look at the DISC style of the manager. So again, in the profile, we have 4 pages, 1 for each of the 4 styles on managing up you and each of those styles. Okay. And again, what is your manager's style? If you don't know it, you use the people reading process to come up with their style as you perceive it, and then come up with an action plan for how you're going to sit down and have a conversation with that manager. Okay, so I'm now going to jump into Catalyst. So now you're looking at my screen in my Catalyst profile, all right? And those of you that have already got a Catalyst profile will recognize this. It starts off with, Keith, you have an SI style, I already told you that. And I'm not going to go into everything about Catalyst because I'm assuming that many of you have already got your own Catalyst profile. Maybe you don't have the management profile in Catalyst, but that's what we're going to focus on today. So Catalyst is based on the workplace profile. So if I clicked on learn about your style, it's going to take me into my workplace profile. All right. And so I'm just going to scroll down a little bit here. And these are the tools that are available to you in Catalyst, right? And the first one there is Discover Worksmart. We're going to come back to that. We're sort of going to finish with that. I'm just going to go through the management profile first. Obviously, you can also compare with colleagues. So anyone else in your team or in your organization who has a Catalyst workplace profile will appear in your colleagues section. And so if I clicked on that, I'd be able to go in and have a look at a comparison between me and any other members on my team. All right. I could also build a group from people within my organization. And there's a lot of things we can do in there. And again, I'm not going to go into that today. And then lastly, one of the more recent applications is getting advice. So again, this ties into the Your Colleague section, where if I want to get some advice on how to tackle a particular problem with one of my co-workers, I can click on Get Advice, click on that co-worker, and then click on what I'd like to get advice about. And the program will come up with some tips on how to solve that problem with that person. Okay, let me scroll down a bit further, getting more from disk. And this is where the 3 profiles sit that are available in Catalyst. All right, if you don't have management or Agile EQ, then all you will see here would be workplace and discology, which is picking up down the bottom there. All right, I have all 3, workplace management and Agile EQ in here. All right, discology is just the theory and research and all the background about DISC itself, all right, and understanding the 12 styles and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I'm going to dive into the management profile, which is what we're here to talk about. All right, now everything in here is in the PDF file management profile that you would print out if you just did the management profile through Epic. All right, and so you've got the management overview. All right, there is a little video in here. Okay. Not going to show it. We just don't have time for that today. But you'll see there's a little video that you can play while you're in Catalyst. And obviously the 3 steps to being more effective as a manager would be to understand yourself, understand others, and to learn how to adapt to others. All right. So it goes into a bit more detail about it and how you adapt to different styles and so on. Okay. And the management principles that we looked at earlier are also in here. Okay. So going back to management, your management style, all right, this again just looks at your management priorities, right, which we've already looked at, and what you enjoy, what drains you, the stuff we looked at earlier, okay? So all of that stuff that's in the management profile is here in Catalyst. And then we go into the applications, all right, directing and delegating, motivation, developing talent, and managing up. All right. There's no videos in this section for the 3 downward facing skills. So if we look at directing and delegating, all right, how you direct and delegate, again, it's your priorities that affect that, your strengths and challenges. We looked at that earlier. And then adapting to others. And this is where we're going to start looking at doing an action plan. All right. And so because I'm live in Catalyst, I've got access to my own team here. And if I was going to have a meeting with Sue to direct and delegate, I just type in Sue and it comes up with Sue, who has an SC style, right? And it highlights the S style because that's her primary style. And then I just click on that And then it comes up with all of the information that would have been in the page for the S style in the profile, all right? So how they like to work, etc., how to adapt, if they're less experienced, more experienced, and so on. Then it also brings in other people within my team or my organization, depending on how you've set it up, who also have a primary S style. Okay, there's actually 2 pages, as you can see down here. There's more people that have an S style. So that's the same in motivation. If I go into motivation, it's just going to go through the same information that I had in the actual profile itself, and then it's going to ask me to choose someone to come up with an action plan with. Okay, there's no provision in the management profile for you to create an action plan. You would have to use your facilitator kit and the PDF files for the action plans to get your managers to come up with the action plans, etc. Okay, and then of course we have the last skill, which is managing up, and there's something a little bit different about this one. All right, it's the same as the profile as we covered before. How your manager tends to see you, all right, and then how do you adapt to your manager, right? And again, I'll put Alicia in here. Not that she is my manager, but we co-manage. And Alicia has a D style. All right. So when I go into the D style here, it has their priorities and preferences, etc. But here we have some videos. So this is the only section in the management profile, apart from that introductory video, where we have additional videos that have been created. And these are the same videos that are in the actual facilitator kit itself. So, but they're available also within Catalyst here. Okay, so this is person coming in to talk to their D-style manager about a project or something they want to get their buy-in for. I'm giving an example. There's no wrong way example videos here, just a video giving you an example of how to approach your manager. All right, and so so that's the management profile. And again, you can use the facilitator kit for the facilitation materials to take a team of people through the management profile on Catalyst. Now, the other thing that's different is in the Catalyst facilitator kit, there are facilitation materials for running that session in a classroom and a separate set of facilitation materials for how to run that session virtually. If you happen to have people remotely that you wanted to run a virtual training session on using the management profile. Let's have a look at WorkSmart. WorkSmart is a series of 5 modules designed for managers to be more effective in performing these skills with their direct reports. Now, these skills weren't just made up. Wiley did a significant amount of research to identify what are the skills that managers need most in today's workplace. And so those 5 skills were created into these 5 modules. All right. The first 3 were launched a little while ago. I think it's 3 or 4 weeks ago now. Or maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. We got helping your team navigate change, and then motivating your team is coming soon. All right, and by that I mean probably, if not by the end of July, in August sometime. So we'll have all 5 modules. Okay, and what I'm going to do is just dive into giving constructive feedback so you can see what one of these skill training modules looks like. Each of them is designed to be less than an hour. And again, that's been deliberate because what we're finding is, like if you're going to do the management profile facilitation using the facilitator kit, you're talking about 6 hours at least in total. Now, that's what the facilitator kit says, 6 hours. When I've done this with clients, I've found that the 6 modules are designed to be run in 1 hour each. but you get much more value out of it if you space it out over time and don't try to run 6 modules in one day, for example. Okay, and so these modules are designed to be less than an hour. By that, 45 minutes to 60 minutes, depending on how you want to facilitate it. And you can actually spend more time on application and maybe even take it over now if you want to, if you've got the time to do that. Okay, so let's look at giving constructive feedback. What's your experience with managers' ability to give feedback in a constructive way, where they get a positive reaction to it? Or do they get feedback in a way that leaves the person feeling devalued and not feeling great about the outcome? All right. So in today's session, this particular session, this is the material that the managers would be going through as they're doing this with a facilitator. All right. You can explore the DISC model, and we're going to look at the 4 elements of feedback: your relation to feedback, what's easy and hard, and strategies for tailoring feedback to one of the people that you manage. So each of these modules consists of an action plan. Okay. And you actually build the action plan within that 1 hour module. All right. So here's the 4 behavioral styles. It's just an overview of DISC, and it shows you where you fall, is me. And then what makes feedback hard for you. And so this is what the participant's seeing, and the facilitator has their facilitation materials that's taking the managers through this and is asking people to go through these examples of what makes feedback hard for you and identify one thing that they feel makes feedback most hard for them, which takes us into the next activity, which is think of a time when you received or gave helpful feedback. And again, your participants would be identifying what made it helpful, what made it hard, okay, what made it so good when it was helpful, and then the elements of constructive feedback. 4 elements: direct, encouraging, receptive, and objective. As you can see, they're being correlated with the 4 stars. And so my superpower is being receptive. Okay, go back just a sec. All right, S star, receptive is my strength in giving feedback. All right, being receptive comes most easy to you. So that's my superpower. Why is this a natural fit? What does it look like? And what are the benefits of being receptive? Okay. And so then discussion in small group, in breakout rooms if you're running it virtually. Okay. Each person talks to colleagues about what their superpower is, how do you use it, and what benefits come from that. Okay. And then, wait a second, not every situation calls for the same superpower. All right. And so this table or model of the 4 DISC styles and the 4 elements of constructive feedback is designed to help people identify, okay, so I'm naturally receptive, but what about if I need to be direct in giving feedback as I'm talking to a D style, or I need to be more objective in giving feedback to a C style? So for each of the 5 modules in Worksmart, there is one of these models looking at how to apply this particular skill to working with different styles, and especially styles that are different from me. Okay, so let's look beyond our superpower now. So I'm naturally receptive, but how do I go about being direct? Or if the person I've chosen is an I style, how do I go about using encouraging feedback? In the case of a C style, being objective. All right. And so from there, we're going to have a discussion about which feedback element did you choose of those 3, what makes it hard for you to do that, and how could you incorporate this into improving your ability to give feedback. Okay. And then let's make a feedback plan. All right. So now you've got a good foundation on feedback. Let's put that to work with a specific person. Okay. And again, I'll choose Sue. Okay. And Sue has an SC style, which we already know from the last time we had a look at Sue. Okay. And now it's going to bring up some information about my colleague to help me understand her and things I might need to keep in mind when I'm giving her feedback. All right, so let's have a look. Sue is soft-spoken, and what that means. She processes things internally, a bit more information. She cares about being dependable, and Sue is also methodical. Okay, so I need to take these things into consideration when I'm preparing to provide feedback to Sue. Okay, so we go on from there. Choose my approaches based on Sue's C style. There are some tactics that might be helpful. Pick 2 that you would like to use in your next feedback session. So I want to make sure that I'm clear, objective, and I don't want to tiptoe around the issues. I also need to use a bit of the direct element. Okay, so I can only choose 2, and that's the 2 that are most important for me to focus on while I'm making a plan. And so here I start putting my plan together. For you, what will be the most challenging parts, and where and when will you give the feedback, and how will you prepare for the discussion? I should also choose a particular topic that I want to discuss, or a particular project that I want to work on with Sue. Okay, and the difference with this and the management profile kit is that I'm going to actually type my responses into Catalyst. That function is not yet released, but it will be released very shortly when the whole 5 modules are available, which is not very far away. Okay, so step 5, hold yourself accountable. Your plan will be saved on the Catalyst platform and available once you finish this module. You can also come back at any time and create additional action plans. So now that the manager's been through this module on giving constructive feedback, they can come back and do an additional action plan just by working through these pages themselves in Catalyst to come up with an action plan for another direct report, and then another direct report. And they're all saved in Catalyst. So anytime I want to, maybe I need to give additional feedback to someone I already did a plan and implemented some time ago, but I've got something else I need to talk to them about now. I just come back into Catalyst, look up that particular action plan that I chose previously, and I might put in another action plan because it's a different thing that I need to talk to them about. Okay. And then one last question. This is in the facilitation material for the manager to discuss. One thing you learned from someone else about feedback that you'll carry into your job going forward, because they've been having these breakout room discussions as they go. All right. And so, so that's one of the modules. As you can see, there's 19 pages in there, right? It's not a PowerPoint presentation. It's built into Catalyst. So that's Worksmart. So I'm going to finish off by just talking about Worksmart. Okay. The difference between the management profile and Worksmart. The management profile is designed as a full day session of 6 hours, although, as I said, you could actually provide a lot more value by doing more than 6 hours. And it's also too much to actually do in one day anyway, to cover all of those skills. I think you'd be better off breaking it up and doing it over time anyway. It's a more broad, general approach to management, but it does build strong foundational management skills, and particularly focusing on understanding how to adapt my conversations to the different styles of people that I have reporting to me. Okay, and whereas Worksmart, 1 hour modules focused on specific interpersonal issues that have been identified by research as the challenges that managers are facing most in the workplace today. All right, and it provides tools for immediate problem solving by actually preparing action plans in Catalyst that they can come back to. All right, and so these are the 5 modules again, or the 5 skills. Okay, if you have a look at that and think about the managers that you know, is there anything there that you don't think they would value being good at? All right. Now, some of your managers may be good at some, or if not all of these things, but others might struggle with all of them too. And I look at it and I say, I wish I'd had this when I first became a manager, because I think those skills are really valuable, and have a practical tool, not just to learn about it, but also to implement it and follow through and come back to and revisit. So perfect way of keeping DISC alive for managers who want to learn to use DISC effectively to be a better manager. Okay, so the standard pricing for the 5 modules is 20 EPIC credits, which is less than the price of the management profile, which is 25 credits. Now, if you have Catalyst, you may know that you can add your management profile in Catalyst to your workplace profile for only 10 credits. But if you do the management profile through EPIC as a standalone, it's 25 credits. Okay, to add, and you have to have Catalyst to be able to use Worksmart, because that's the only place it is. It's in Catalyst. Okay, now we have an early access discount, which has been available for at least a couple of months now, 2 to 3 months now, since they launched the first 2 modules. But you still have until the 31st of July to get the early access discount. If you sign up managers to do Worksmart now, you get the modules that are available right now for 10 EPIC credits. And when the last module is released, you will not pay any more for that. So in other words, you'll get all 5 modules for 10 credits if you sign people up before the 31st of July, or by the 31st of July, I think would probably be more accurate. Thanks for joining me this morning. And if you want to contact us, there's our support email and our phone number and our website, and open to questions. I'd really like to hear your view on management versus leadership. We don't use the word internally managing others. We like to use leadership rather than managing. So I'm curious about your views on what is distinct about these perspectives. Okay, Wiley's take on that is that management is a one-on-one skill, managing individuals and knowing how to get the best results out of each direct report. And so that's what the management profile is focused on. You can all 3 of those downward pointing skills are focused on one-on-one conversations with a direct report, and that's a critical skill, right? Because now leadership is they define as one on many, all right. And in fact, in the work of leaders profile, the focus is on vision, alignment, and execution. So the leader coming up with a vision, getting their team into alignment with the vision, and then getting them to execute a plan to achieve the vision. So it's working with a team of people. Now, I know this has been a debate since I joined Integro 47 years ago about what the difference is between management and leadership. So there's other resources that have similar views on this as Wiley does, right? And Marcus Buckingham, who was a Gallup researcher who helped in creating the Q12 engagement survey, and then subsequently left and started his own business. And he published a book called The One Thing You Need to Know. And there were 3 sections. The one thing you need to know to be a good individual contributor, the one thing you need to know to be a great manager, and the one thing you need to know to be a great leader, right? The one thing you need to know to be a great manager, according to Buckingham, was how to get the best performance out of each individual, which is about building a relationship, getting to know them. And he actually talks about getting to know the person's personality in order to get the best out of them. Well, obviously, DISC would be a great resource for that. The one thing you need to know to be a great leader is how to rally a group of people to take them somewhere where they've never been before, all right? And so there's a lot of the more recent research that's being done about the difference between management and leadership that's more in alignment with what Wiley is saying than the old. Leadership is important, obviously, if you need to take a group of people and rally them to a cause of some sort, all right? Get them all behind this plan, get them all behind our vision. But you still need to have one-on-one conversations with each person. And that's where the management profile and particularly Worksmart are aimed at, having better one-on-one conversations with people by focusing on their behavioural style. The videos are not available separately. They're available in the kit, right? And if you have any everything disk facilitator kit, you can upgrade that kit to a Catalyst facilitator kit. Running out shortly, the free upgrade of the workplace kit or the management kit to the Catalyst kit. In the Catalyst kit, you get all three profiles that are available in Catalyst, the kits for workplace, management, and Agile EQ. If only a few of your leaders in the company have management, can they compare with all other colleagues who are in the system? In Catalyst, yes. Anyone, whether they're managers or others, or frontline people, are in Catalyst, and you can find them in the Your Colleagues section, provided they are all put into Catalyst under the same organization name. Okay, so in Catalyst, you can see comparisons between yourself and any other colleague that has the same organization name in their Catalyst profile. All right, well, thanks very much for joining us, and hope to see you again soon.